welcome to the Pigskin Preview. And right now we get ready to go to our third coach of the day today so far. And we go back to the Nick 10. And with us right now we have head coach Jim Morrow. Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good.
You know, Coach, obviously you guys have a great player coming back in Brenton Shaw. You know, what's it going to be like this season? You know, obviously with him trying to probably do some big things, you know, when you look at probably your school's history and even in the conference history, things like that. What's it going to be like having a player like that on the team?
You know, he's an explosive kid that we get a lot of production out of. Actually, we're going to try to even squeeze a little more out of him as he plays defense now. And, you know, of course, is going to be our primary returner for punts and kickoff returns. So, you know, we hope to really showcase everything that he's been blessed with talent-wise. And hopefully he's prepared himself and put himself, you know, on a track to have a great senior season.
You know, Coach, I don't think people realize that kid's an athlete. I've seen him play basketball. He can play basketball. You're going to use him in different aspects on the team. And sometimes that gets overlooked with a running back with all those yards, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, you know, we're just very blessed to have him on our roster and be able to build a team, you know, having that skill set available to us.
You know, and another thing you guys always like to do there is you always got a good quarterback. You know, you like to spread the ball out, those kind of things. So how much does a player like Brenton Shaw help some of those other players, you know, with some of the things you guys like to do anyway on offense?
Well, he's going to, you know, definitely help us keep people, you know, away from our perimeter if we want to attack that. The key for us is always, you know, trying to balance run and pass and make sure that the defense can't just focus, you know, and be successful in stopping us by just taking one away. So, you know, Brenton's definitely going to hold people's attention, and hopefully, you know, we'll have great production out of him and our returning quarterback, Trent Willie, and our receiving core as you know, we try to generate points and generate wins.
You know, Willie's pretty special. He's been there for a while. That's going to give you a little confidence, almost like an assistant coach on the field sometimes, Coach?
Very definitely, you know, an assistant coach of sorts in that he's grown so much in his ability to understand defenses and what they're trying to do and what we're trying to attack and where the ball goes. And he's come leaps and bounds this year in that part of his game. And I really feel like, you know, he's in position to really do some great things this year.
You know, when you have a quarterback with experience coming back like that and a really good player, I mean, that would be enough on its own, and you combine that with Shaw. When you guys look at your offense, I mean, do you guys think, you guys always are pretty explosive on offense as it is, but do you guys think you maybe have the ability to be pretty special this year on that side of the ball?
Well, we hope so. Our offensive line is a little concerning right now. We got to get that in order as the season begins, and those guys are going to have to grow up quick. We graduated 4 out of the 5 guys. We really, that's an urgent priority for our football team, is to get our offensive line up and going so that Brenton and Trent and all of us can have you know, the seasons that we expect to have. It all starts with the offensive line. If they can't do what we ask them to do and do what's expected of them, then you know, nobody's going to have a really good year. So they're a very big priority for us, for sure.
You know, one of the things I know you guys have been working on, you know, over the last few years and have really gotten better at is on the defensive side, just trying to bring more physicality, you know, especially as, you know, you run against the top teams in the conference or even as you get deeper into the playoffs, you know, that's really a big key. How is the defensive side of the ball coming along?
We feel pretty good, really, at just about every position. You know, we don't have the most experience at some of these spots, but the talent level is really good. Defensive backfield-wise, I think we're going to be pretty solid. Linebacking core is going to be young, but I think they're going to be, you know, a pretty effective group and a very aggressive group. And defensive line-wise, we do have some new faces down there playing in the three-point stances. But I feel really good about their strength level and their ability to get after people. And it's really, really quite a nice feeling knowing our defense is ready to go like that.
How important is it to be ready for all kinds of things to happen in the Nick 10? You know, last year Belvedere North went to the run game after being a passing team. Do you expect any surprises on that? And does your defense get a little tested sometimes, you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, week to week, your game plan might totally change depending on your opponent. And, the things that you stressed one week and are going to be totally different playing an option team. And you're very, very challenging, and your personnel might even change a little bit week to week. So keep you on your toes. I guess that's the fun in it. And we'll go out there and we'll compete hard. And I think whatever tests our conference give us throughout the season will definitely pay off maybe in the postseason.
Yes, I was going to talk about some of those tests. You look at the two Belvedere schools have certainly gotten better. I think, people expect Boylan to start bouncing back here at some point soon. Guilford's always going to be tough. Hononegah, Auburn, we've seen improvement from. How tough is that, week in, week out? Maybe, 6 or 7 years ago, you really only had to kind of worry about 2 games almost when you were looking at, Hononegah and Boylan, whereas now, it's almost on a week-to-week basis. You've got somebody showing up that if you're not on your A game, you could get knocked off.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't let your guard down. I know, just last year, East gave us a lot of problems. I think we were behind at Guilford in week 1 going into the fourth quarter. Boylan, that was nip and tuck in the mud over at their place. These are all teams that maybe fell short of the playoffs, but boy, did they really, gave us some problems. I know we dropped one to Belvedere. A lot of people probably expected us to win that one, but you can't go in with any kind of those assumptions. You got to put in the work every day, and you got to come and bring your best. And Friday night, or you're going to be disappointed.
How do special teams look this year, Coach?
Well, that's a big priority for us as well. I've taken up special teams responsibilities, and I think it's pretty important that the head coach maybe be involved in that, where he gets to coach every player on the roster, and gets to maybe bring some kind of emphasis to how important that phase of the game is to the players. And I hope that's what we're going to accomplish as I take over those special teams units.
And you guys have had the ability over the few years to bring in some soccer players to do the kicking, things like that, which can be a big weapon, especially if you can, knock some of those field goals from further back. Is that something you guys are going to have this year?
Well, the kicking is probably not yet settled. I have a senior, Kyle Peace, worked really hard and has got a year of experience that he's pretty reliable, and we really like what he does. There's another young kid, Taylor Humphreys, that may compete for the job, and we feel very good about his leg and his abilities. So we're going to see how that works out. Either way, I think we're in great hands with both of those guys, and I think they'll be able to generate some points and the opportunities when they're given to them.
When you look at the Nick 10 season, every week is a league game. You guys start out with Guilford, and they always just seem to give you a challenge. What are you expecting from Guilford this year, Coach?
Yeah, I expect another really close battle. We've really got some talented players every year. Guys, it's really hard going in the first week without having any footage on each other. And, all of a sudden, you find out they're pretty good here, and we didn't prepare for that. And so last year, as a quarterback, they gave us a lot of fits. And I imagine, they've got some good players, explosive players that, we're just going to have to, adjust to as the game begins, and hopefully, just play well enough to get out of there with a win.
You're one of the longest tenured coaches now in the conference. What changes have you seen, through the years here as far as, the competitive level, and maybe some of the things, that happen maybe in the summer and in the off season?
Well, it seems as though the summer and off seasons are a lot more involved with the 25 contact days. We pretty much compete against a lot of teams in the area and 7-on-7s and stuff like that. So you get maybe a little brief snapshot of what everybody has, and I guess maybe the familiarity with one another maybe is a little bit better than what it was competitively years ago in that regard. But it's definitely interesting to kind of look back over the years at it and see how programs have changed and risen and maybe declined a little bit and bounced back. And everything seems to be sort of cyclical. And we're fortunate to have been able to kind of keep our team relevant and competitive throughout my tenure, and we're hoping to continue to do that.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking time and getting up early. Good luck with the Huskies this year, and we look forward to a fun season at Harlem, and thanks for being on today.
All right. Thank you very much.
We've been talking to Jim Morrow, the head football coach at Harlem, and I tell you what, they're always ready, and they're going to give everybody a good game again this year.
Always right there. One of my favorite coaches to talk to, and I think that some of what he's done there, I think, has been overlooked, just how consistent he's made that program, especially, if you look back 20 years ago and where that program was. I mean, it's pretty amazing the consistency he's built there.